right, what's going on, you guys? Nick here with Nick Strength and Power, and the 2025 Europa Pro in Offenbach, Germany just wrapped up. The results: in 5th place, Emir Omaragic; in 4th place, Mark Hector; in 3rd place, Edward Cargbo; in 2nd place, Quinton Araya; and in 1st place, now 2-time champ, Ers Kalisinski. So let's talk about it here. I want to look at the comparison specifically for the top 2 between Quinton and Ers, because this one I think was much closer than last week. It's kind of hard to tell with the lighting, but I think both Ers and Quinton came in significantly better than last week. Quinton especially, I felt like this was really close because, in my opinion, I think that Quinton was at his all-time best here. I think if you look at Quinton's physique and the condition that he's in, I think this might be the best conditioned version that we've seen of Quinton so far. Now, this top 2 that you're watching right now is from the prejudging comparison. I'm going to show both the prejudging and the finals top 2. I think Quinton looked a little bit sharper here at the prejudging top 2. But definitely at prejudging, I was thinking it was kind of a coin toss. And I didn't make a prejudging video because of the fact that they basically went straight in. There was no gap. They went straight in from prejudging to finals, and I thought, by the time I'm done with my prejudging video, finals will already be over, so I'll just make a video after finals. So that's why I didn't do a prejudging video today. But prejudging, I felt like, was really razor close, coin toss. Quinton, I think, is in the best shape of his career, and I can't help but feel bad for Quinton here. I mean, honestly, this is the 4th show this year that he's been just right on the edge, right on the verge of winning, kind of in that always a bridesmaid, never a bride situation. And this was, as you guys know, the final opportunity to try to qualify for the Olympia. So maybe Quinton will continue to compete and try to do a show that's going to get him an early qualification for 2026. But as far as the 2025 Olympia goes, this was the last opportunity for Quinton. So I can't help but feel bad for him because I feel like this was the closest he's came. This is the best he's looked. If you look at like his upper body, for example, we've talked about how he's really conditioned in the lower body and it's not quite matching the upper. But if you look at his upper body here, you look at the striations in his chest, I noticed when he hit the side chest and the most muscular, you were seeing like a deeper level of detail than you typically see from Quinton in those poses. I just think this was the best he ever looked. But then Ers as well. Like I said, it's kind of hard to tell with the lighting here because the lighting's not as good as it was last week. But both Ers and Quinton, I think, look significantly better than last week, significantly tighter. This is definitely the best Ers that we've ever seen. And I'm kind of surprised, like when you watch Ers pose, especially from the back, one thing that kind of surprised me here was how much Ers was shaking in some of those poses. Ers hasn't really had that issue, at least not that I've noticed, when he was in classic physique. So I thought that was interesting because I noticed that last week in Italy too, that if you look at his leg was shaking a lot in like the back lat spread pose, not as much in the back double, but that was kind of just a weird little thing that stuck out to me. And I think that in winning this show, Ers has really solidified that he's going to be a serious threat in open bodybuilding. It wasn't a fluke. It wasn't a one-time thing. The rematch between him and Quinton really brought it. And I think that's what impresses me so much about the fact that Ers has now won these back-to-back open shows, not only winning his open debut, but winning the rematch where Quinton came back better. I think Ers has really proven, and he already proved it last week, to be honest, but he's really proven that he belongs here and he's a threat. And I think now that he's won back-to-back shows, definitively, the conversation about Ers going into the Olympia, where is he going to place? Top 10, top 6? I've seen some people say top 3. I think that's still a little bit of a stretch. I do think as far as his back goes, his back needs to come up. I felt like the way that he was hitting the back poses here too, even though he was shaky, I felt like in the back double, I don't know if he was hitting it slightly differently here, but I think he looked better from the back in those poses at this show. But I think on the Olympia level, it's going to be that kind of missing width and thickness in the back that's going to hold him back a little bit from those like upper echelon top 6 maybe placings. But I think now that we've seen Ers twice, and he's proven that he can win the shows back-to-back, he's proven he can replicate that condition, he's shown consistency, and I think even he's shown that he can come in even better than what I thought was his best last week. And now this top 2 video, this is going to be the top 2 from the finals of the show. And I think it was a little bit more in Ers's favor at the finals. I don't feel like you saw Quinton fade drastically or anything like that, but I felt like in the final top two comparison, I think Quinton lost a little bit of that sharpness, especially in the midsection. I was noticing where Ers had, these super deep separated abs, kind of like what we talked about yesterday, looking at that 1 day out update that Ers posted. He was crazy here in that abs and thighs pose, and that's exactly kind of the vibe that we got from that update. But I think Quinton, there were some shots where he looked like he lost a little bit of that sharpness at finals, and I felt like finals was a little bit more clear that Ers had him. The judge did say during that finals top two that this was as close as it gets. I don't know if that meant that this was a 1-point decision. I'm very curious to see the scorecards here, because as you guys know, last weekend it was Ers won prejudging and finals with essentially a perfect score. I don't know if that's going to be the case here. Like I said, I felt like it was closer. I felt like Quinton really brought it, and I hope that Quinton continues to compete throughout the year and just tries to get that early 2026 qualification, because I'm really starting to feel bad for him here, because it's not like he's not bringing it. It's like from show to show, he's constantly improving. He's constantly bringing these new, best ever versions of his physique, which I really do think this show might have been the best Quinton we've ever seen. And that's why, like I said, I think Ers winning this show really definitively proves that he belongs in open. Classic was holding him back, and that he's going to continue to excel. And I think, again, you've got to bear in mind that at Ers's open debut, he hadn't even had a full year, a full off season to prepare for open bodybuilding. It was a very fresh transition from classic physique. And I think when you consider those factors, how good Ers has looked at these past two shows, and you think about what's it going to look like after the Olympia this year, where I assume Ers is probably going to shut it down and take a full year or a full off season to really grow into open. And we know what he can do with his conditioning. We know what kind of shape he has. But when Ers brings up some of these points, like his arms, his back, and really takes the time to focus to put on that size, we know that he's going to come in crazy peeled. We know that he's going to bring his crazy shape. I think when you're talking about the 2026 version of Ers, he's going to be extremely dangerous. But even this 2025 version, based on what we've seen so far, I would say going into the Olympia, there's a very realistic possibility that we could see Ers in that top 10. I could see him in that 7, 8, 9 range 100%. If he brings this type of condition, or potentially better, because I do feel like as crazy peeled as he was in Italy, he was even more crazy peeled here. And if he comes in even more peeled for the Olympia, I could definitely see this type of Ers physique top 10 at the Olympia. It would not surprise me one bit, and I think based on what we're seeing now, I think you could make a really strong case for Ers being top 10 at his Open Olympia debut, which is, it feels like a crazy thing to say, but I think it is realistic. But anyway, that's going to wrap it up for the video today, guys. I hope you did, in fact, enjoy it. Let me know what you guys think in the comments below about the results of this show, how Ers looked, Ers's chances at the Olympia now that he's won 2 back-to-back open shows. Let me know in the comments below. Like, subscribe, all that good stuff. And as always, I love you guys. Appreciate you guys. Nick Strength and Power signing out. All right, guys, don't forget to click that like button and subscribe to this channel if you enjoy the content. Also, check out my Instagram at Nick Strength Power, my Facebook page, which is simply Nick Strength and Power, my secondary YouTube channel, Nick Strength and Vlogs, for vlogs and bonus content that you will not see on this channel. And consider subscribing to my third YouTube channel, Nick Strength and Pokemon, which is all things Pokemon and trading card games, completely unrelated to this channel. So if you're into that, give that one a look. And all links to merchandise and social media will be in the description box below. If you guys want a Nick Strength and Power t-shirt, that will be in the Shopify link below. Have a great day.